Hey there, saltwater anglers, and welcome to the Lower Chesapeake Bay Fishing Report, your local report whether it's good, bad, or ugly. This podcast is part of the Great Days Outdoors Network, and each week we're talking with local experts to learn how we can become better anglers in our pursuits offshore, nearshore, and inshore. So, let's work together and keep this amazing fishery healthy and thriving for generations to come by remembering to protect what we pursue. Cooler temps have fish on the move, and our expert guides are helping us stay tight with those target species we love to chase. So, let's hear who's making the show possible and then jump into the reports. Listen up. AFTCO has a promotional gift for all Great Days Outdoors Podcast Network listeners. They're now offering a camo sunglasses cleaner cloth with any purchase of AFTCO products. For those cold, wet, or windy days, I especially enjoy my weatherproof fabric barricade jacket, as well as my Helm insulated fishing gloves. All you got to do to get your coupon code is text LCBFR to 779-345-2918. You'll get subscribed to our email list, and we'll send you the promo code via email. Boaters know that the unexpected can happen anytime. That's why Seatow offers 24/7 on-water assistance with priority service for members. Whether it's a dead battery, running out of fuel, or needing a tow, Seatow's fleet is ready to help. Membership includes unlimited towing with no distance or dollar limits in your home area, fuel delivery, jump starts, and more. Plus, members receive exclusive discounts on fuel, electronics, dockage, and boat insurance. With over 500 ports nationwide, Seatow has you covered wherever you boat. Join today at seatow.com and boat with confidence. Upgrade your waterfront with Killer Doc's premium dock furniture, built to last a lifetime in marine conditions. Crafted from marine-grade aluminum with a protective anti-corrosion coating, it's tough enough to handle the elements while providing unmatched comfort. Featuring sunbrella cushions with fast-drying, removable covers, our furniture stays securely in place even in storms. Choose from cabanas, club chairs, love seats, tables, and more to create your perfect dockside retreat. Durability meets elegance at Killer Doc. Check out the full collection at killerdoc.com today. All right, you guys, welcome to this segment. I am excited to talk to this guy just for a couple reasons. He's knows his way around the bay, and then he also does something unique. He fishes from his Sea-Doo personal watercraft, and it always gives a unique perspective on the fishery from that solo perspective. So, I want to welcome back Captain Brian Lockwood. How are we doing tonight, Captain?
Doing great, Luke. Thanks again for having me on, and I could luckily you asked me to do a report, and I actually managed to get out today. So I had a great report for today.
That's awesome. Yeah, timing couldn't be more perfect, and I'm just glad to hear somebody got out there. I mean, we were talking right before hitting record just how the weather's been so challenging the past couple of weeks to even get a window or two. So I was glad to see that you got to get out there. For those that are tuning in that have never heard you before, just give us a quick 30,000-foot view of how you fish and why you fish that way.
Yeah, definitely. I've fished from my jet ski or a personal watercraft. I've been doing it for a little over 25 years now, and it's kind of a unique way of doing it. It's becoming more and more popular every year, but I have rod holders and coolers and fish finders on my PWC, and it's kind of a cross between fishing from a boat and fishing from a kayak. So I can be in deep water or shallow water like a kayak. So it's kind of advantageous to me for fishing close to shore or offshore.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I mean, we've talked several times. You know, if you're listening for the first time here and Captain Brian talk, go back in the episodes and search. You know, he does it all from his jet ski, whether that's nearshore wrecks, offshore, or way up in skinny water. But I'm curious to hear about how your day went today. You mentioned it was a little choppy, sloppy. Talk us through the day from the time you got out there and what the conditions were like and what you were targeting and how that all went.
Sure. I woke up this morning and looked at the forecast and saw that there was a narrow weather window to at least get to where I wanted to fish in decent conditions. And I left from the James River Bridge at the Huntington Boat Ramp this morning, probably around 7 o'clock. And 15 minutes later, I was at the Merrimack Monitor Bridge Tunnel. But my original plan was to troll for a little bit, see if there's any striper out there, and then maybe bottom fish for tog. But I ended up catching 3 striped bass really early and quick order, trolling along the pilings and about 25, 30 feet of water really close to the island. And the next thing I knew, I caught a nice drum, and I was marking a ton of big fish on my sounder. But I spent the next 2.5 hours catching 14 red drum between, I think, 32 to 44 inches. And it was
Wow.
just nonstop reeling in fish for me today. And it was just a blast. The conditions got windier as the day went, but I wasn't even paying attention to it until I had to ride back in it.
Oh, wow. How was that?
A little sloppy, but luckily it's not that far to run from the M&M to the James River Bridge where I dropped. So it
Uh-huh.
took me maybe 15 minutes to get there and about 25 minutes to get back in like 3 to 4 foot seas. So it was that cross spray, but I was dressed for it. I had my rain suit on, my life jacket, of course. But the whole time I was just trolling a single atomic lure on a three-way with about an 8-ounce sinker and dragging that along in 25 to 30 feet of water and just steadily picking up fish that were in this nice school that was hanging on a ledge.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm looking at your pictures that you posted today, and I gotta say, I always appreciate that you are so willing to share information and kind of give folks a firsthand look at what you're seeing. So I got a couple of questions. I'm looking at this picture of your uh, down machine, your Garmin sonar, and I see a couple things. So
Yes.
you've got it set to GT 15M chirp. What is that?
Well, in all truth, I'm more versed on my other jet skis sounder than I am the Sea-Doo sounder. But that's pretty much the original setting that it was set on. And I don't really mess with the settings because most of my stuff is shallow water, so I don't change the settings unless I was way offshore. But I haven't really taken this one way offshore, so I couldn't really tell you what that setting is on that particular Garmin. It's just the setting that it was set on when I first got the jet ski, and I've left it that way, and it reflects the bottom very well for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I can see bait or big fish. And what you saw on that picture is really some heavy, heavy marks of what originally I thought were striped bass, but then it was more than apparent it was drum because that's all I caught after I got into
Ah,
that school were drum.
got it. Got it. Yeah, and I see that you were doing well, and this was, 8 o'clock in the morning. Um, I did a quick
Yep,
Google
that's the time
search.
on the sounder.
Yeah, yeah. In case anybody's curious, the information is all there, except we can't see the water temperature. But we know that you had a good strong 13.7 volts of juice coming to your machine. I googled what GTM 15 chirp is, and it's the mid-band chirp frequency. And I remember a couple episodes back talking to Captain Kenny Mills with Sea Shift Sport Fishing, and he kind of gave a little bit of a deep dive and explained it, like the difference between how maybe bats send signals versus how like dolphins send signals. And I could be saying this wrong, but I think he said it's more like the way dolphins send signals, which is a couple different frequencies being sent out at a time. Whereas if you're just sending a single frequency, which is your traditional sonar, that has the potential to cancel itself out. But chirp sonar, which is what you've got yours set to, transmits a chirp of frequencies from low to high within a set range, kind of all at the same time, which typically provides a more detailed and clear picture of the underwater environment. So, like you were saying, you're in 35 feet of water, sending out that nice wide chirp of frequencies is, getting a lot of feedback back up to the machine, and thereby being able to, paint a more clear depiction of what you were seeing. And I would agree with you. I mean, looking at this picture in this time of year, I would have thought that it was a school of stripers for sure. Kind of interesting that it was puppy drum. What size class were you seeing when you were reeling them up?
Well, everything I caught was between 32 and 44 inches, and I'd say on the average they were 38 to 40 inches. So they're all
Okay.
good sized fish. And I did have a couple that I felt was bigger ones that did come off that ran a lot harder. And but yeah, definitely when I'm out there and I'm looking at the bottom, especially when it's not that deep, that GPS does pretty well considering it's a shoot through the hull sounder. It's not a transom mount or a through hull. It actually shoots through the hull. And considering that, it does reflect pretty good. And temperature doesn't reflect on that GPS because my PWC came with a separate temperature sender that's displayed
Mm,
on the dash of my PWC, and it was like 62 degrees today.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Um, yeah, and then I guess in this picture we can't see the far right-hand side, but I imagine that if we could, we would see the demarcations of the different depths. So you're able to kind of see that they were pretty much hovering right in that 15, like 14 to 18 foot range. Would you say that's about accurate, or were you getting more bites right down on the very
Yeah.
bottom?
I all the way through the middle water column to the bottom, and majority of the time for me today, I was literally bouncing my sinker off the bottom, and the Tomic was on about an 8 foot leader trailing behind it. And literally, as I was lowering it, I was getting hits.
Oh,
But the
wow.
majority of the time, I was trolling it directly on the bottom, but it was getting pounded today. It was beautiful. It was just when you're
That's
dropping
fun.
a lure and you're slowly idling along, and you can feel it getting just whacked, and then couple seconds later, you got a fish on.
That's
So it was
awesome.
just it was that perfect time of day when the tide was coming over a rip and coming over the rocks, and I was in the right place at the right time today.
Hmm. Yeah, and I know I don't personally have a lot of experience fishing near the Monitor Merrimack. I can see in one of your pictures it looks like you're kind of like close to, is it the HRBT?
No, that was that is the M&M rocks on the southern side of the M&M tube.
Okay,
So
got
I
it.
was on, I guess, the Suffolk side.
Suffolk side, got it. So this time of year, are they starting to kind of move up into there? Just is it, are they chasing bait in your opinion, or is it more that they're following some water temperatures?
No, they're definitely were feeding on bait because there was a bunch of birds working right in front of them. Not real hard, but they were pecking at the surface, and I was marking bait right before that.
Hmm.
And I'd say the majority of the fish I caught, it was the contour of the bottom was like, we'll say 30 feet deep. And when I would get into a little gully of like 25 feet and then it would go back to 30, I was catching the majority of them in about a 5 foot difference of depth.
Okay,
So they're
got
kind
it.
of hanging on a ledge, probably ambushing whatever was coming by, but
Yeah.
it was definitely thick.
Yeah, I mean, clearly. And so, like, if I could kind of take this picture of your sonar and like zoom out in my mind, would I see that 25-foot ledge off to the left or off to the right of where that massive fish was?
Let's see. I would say, like, if you were coming from the pilings going out towards Thimble Shoals Light,
Hmm.
I was just literally going from the pilings towards Thimble Shoals Light, maybe 150, 200 feet off of the rocks in
Hmm.
that area. It literally goes, it'll drop down to 40 feet, but I was in a 25 to 30 foot range. So
Got
I
it.
was really pretty close to the island itself.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It looks like a lot of fun, and it's great to hear that that class of fish that pulls hard is out there hanging around, and definitely cool to see a striper or two pop up. And but
Yeah, and
so
the stripers I caught all on the pilings, right close to there, but the drum I caught off, like I said, maybe 150, 200 feet away from the pilings.
okay,
So
were
it was,
they hitting the same bait when you were fishing, or were you
I
using?
dragged the same lure the whole day. I didn't lose any sinkers. I didn't lose any rigs, and everything
Wow.
I caught today was on that one Tomic. The hook got bent a couple times, but I straightened it out. So it was, it was just one of those days where everything came together and didn't get snagged in the rocks because there was definitely rocks on the bottom as well.
Got
But
it.
it was, I did tog fish for maybe an hour after that, but the tide was pretty dead by the time I did it. And I just caught a couple oyster toads and sea bass.
Yep. Yep. So that lure combination, so talk us through it. So you're using a bait caster style reel, um, and
Yes.
then you've
Yep.
got how long is that rod that you're using?
I don't use real long rods on my PWC. It's maybe a 7 foot
Okay.
level line. You have a lot of Abbots, so that was just one of my mid-range Abbots that I was using today. And
Hmm.
it was kind of heavier duty, which was good because I was catching big fish. But I think I had 35-pound braid, something like that, on there with a 30-pound mono leader going maybe 8 feet long to the Tomic. So
Okay.
it was a pretty basic setup. And been productive for me over the years, and I troll that a lot up in the James or the James River Bridge or the M&M, and sometimes around the HRBT as well.
Yeah. And I want to make sure I'm understanding the setup correctly. So can you talk me through? So you've got the 35-pound braid, then you've got 30-pound leader going to the Tomic lures. I heard you say something about bouncing it along the bottom.
Well,
So is
it's
there
on
a
a
weight?
three-way. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I have it on a three-way. So I have a literally I have a snap swivel going to my braid, and then I have a three-way swivel with a maybe a 2 foot drop loop for my sinker, depending on the current. Today, I think I was using either 6 or 8 ounces to keep me relatively bottom and straight.
Yeah.
And then the leader for the atomic was about 8 feet long. So a three-way
Okay.
with a 2 foot dropper loop and about an 8 foot leader to the atomic.
Got it. So as you're working that through, like your drifts and your drops, that lure is actually probably hanging up a good what, 3, 4 feet off the bottom as it's kind of getting dragged along.
Exactly. That's the goal. Is you don't want it to get hung up, and the atomics kind of float a little bit anyway. So the even though the sinker's bouncing off the bottom, definitely the atomic is not dragging on the bottom. It's probably, like you said, 2 or 3 feet, maybe 4 feet at the most above that.
Got it. And I know Tomic, and just for those listening, if you're curious, it's Tomic Lures, T as in Tom, Omic. And there's a couple different ones that they sell: the spoon, the wee tad, the multi, the tubby, the broken back. Which Tomic lure do you like to use, if you can recall off the top of your head?
I've had this particular lure for probably 10 years, and I'm surprised I haven't lost it yet. But it's like a plug. It's like a floating plug with
Yeah.
just a single, maybe 5, 6 aught hook on it. I
Yep.
don't use treble hooks. Just a real basic, almost like a popping lure, but it's you can cast it as well. But I troll them a lot for striped bass this time of year, and that's what I originally started today, was looking for striped bass. But the drum were loving it, and I've caught drum off of them plenty of times in the past.
Yeah.
This last week, a couple of days ago, 2 days ago, I was out with a friend of mine, Terry, from Pocosin on his PWC, and we were a little further up the James off the muckball fleet, and we caught some striped bass doing the exact same thing with a three-way swivel with a leader, except where we were dragging eels instead of the Tomic.
Got it.
So I
Okay.
do that same three-way setup. I'll do a bucktail on the end, I'll do a Tomic, or I'll do an eel the same way.
I see. Okay. Well, there's a couple different lures, but I think based on what I can see here, it's either going to be the broken, or sorry, the tubby or the classic. But based on the size of what I see, I think it's the tubby, which is a slightly larger, um, profile, and then it kind of almost goes to like looks like the shape of a bullet on the far end, kind of tapers down, and then it's got that one large hook with the swivel. Um, so yeah, if anybody's interested in checking that out, it's a neat looking lure, and it's cool to know that you can be that productive on a couple different species, fishing it that way. I've actually personally never fished a lure with a weight combination, so that makes a lot of sense. It's almost like think of it like a downrigger for tuna fishing, where you're getting that bait down in the water column.
Yeah, that's basically all I'm using, the three-way swivel and the sinker as just a way to get it on the bottom. And yeah, and bluefish love them too. I've caught more than my fair share of bluefish on the same lure doing the exact same thing. And it's great because a bluefish, yeah, they'll chew it up, but it survives very well versus
Right.
using soft baits where every time you're getting, I got to put another worm on it, but
Yeah.
the atomic is definitely more resilient.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you've got this one that's kind of like yellow and green with a red head. In your opinion, does the color matter as much down in that deeper depth, or is it more about the profile and the way that it's being animated?
I think it's the action of those tonics because they kind of zigzag back and forth as you're
Hmm.
moving slowly. Not like a stretch or anything like that, but they zigzag a lot versus digging down. So I
Right.
think it's more the action of the way the tonic moves. Because I have red and white ones that I've done just as well with, and not just the yellow green combination.
Yeah, that makes sense. And there's one picture you've got of this beautiful drum. Is it my imagination, or did you catch one that's almost spotless?
I think I had one that had one spot,
One.
and the
Okay.
rest of them had, anywhere from. But I think the picture I sent you, maybe it had 8 or 10 spots on that one. And that was a beautiful fish. They were all beautiful fish, especially early in the morning. You got the sun shining on them. They got that gold color with spots. And beautiful, fun fish to catch. So it's just one of my favorite fish to catch in the bay. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, they pull so hard and the bite is so distinct. Like there's no question when you get thumped by a drum because they eat it hard and then immediately start swimming with it. And it's always just a fun little, drag screaming, especially like on that lighter setup like you've got a 40-inch, drum on that smaller Avid and 7 foot rod. That's probably gonna be a lot of fun.
Yes, most definitely it was fun, and I'm sure next time when I get back from a trip I'm doing here, I'll be right back at it because the temperatures are still very mild, at 62 degrees, and
Hmm.
the all it can do, all it does is get better in the next couple of weeks, mostly with the striped bass starting to move out of some of these tributaries, and I think the action and the size of those fish will pick up. Most of the fish I've caught the last couple of weeks for striped bass have been relatively small, and of course this year, you can only keep a fish between 19 and 24 inches, so it's hard to catch one that's in that little size, slot size.
Yep. And in your opinion, so right now we've got 62-degree water, and obviously these fish were extremely active, to catch 14 in such a short period of time. As these temperatures start to fall off, like what temperature break is it where, if any, that you would transition to more of a cut bait or live bait to try to get those bites as they become more lethargic with the cooler temperatures?
I'd say when it hits about 55, I just go to eels when it comes to striped bass. A
Okay.
lot of people used to, and some people still do chunk around the M&M and the JRB with cut menhaden. They'll anchor up close to the pilings or a light line at night, and they'll chunk with menhaden or put out eels.
Hmm.
Yeah, but it's I'd say 55 degrees is when it's at peak for me for striped bass in the bay. That's like the ideal temperature to me. But then by then the drum definitely slacks off. So I'd say for at least a couple more weeks, unless we just have a big cold snap, the drum will be there as well. I looked back, and last Thanksgiving I was still catching drum like what I did today. Last year I was catching them around Thanksgiving, same conditions.
Oh wow. Okay. That's good to know. Yeah, I've always, been curious about that, as far as like when the real that kind of cutoff time is to start focusing more on your live baits. And I guess is it as simple as it sounds? Like these fish become more lethargic because they're cold-blooded, the water turns colder, they slow down, and so it's like they almost got to be more motivated to want to eat something. So it's got to be more, I guess, appetizing to get them to get up off the couch and move.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about like up in the tributaries like the James, or further up the James, it's a little as it gets cooler, they get, I think, like you said, maybe a little more lethargic. But when the James gets cooler, the bay is still usually a couple degrees warmer. And
Hmm.
then when the bay gets colder, you go 10 miles offshore and it's a couple degrees warmer. So, it really extends the season. You just have to go to different places and find those water temperatures that are ideal. And so whether it's for striped bass or tog or drum or sheep's head, there's plenty of times as the winter has progressed, you go 10 miles out, 15 miles off of Virginia Beach, you can still catch sheep's head on the wrecks.
Hmm.
So it's just a progression of trying to follow those water temperatures, because if you're following the water temperatures, you're probably following the fish as well.
Right, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I've got to ask, so I see, a couple of nice striped bass that you and Terry were able to keep the other day, and I see
Yeah.
some interesting little chunks of fish on a plate. What's going on there?
That's because my cats won't leave me alone, whether I bring fish home or not. When I'm out cleaning the jet ski, they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna get something." So yeah, I can't walk by the cat without having to. So when I clean the fish, there's always some other piece that's good for the cats. And I got two cats I've had about 15 years, and they're addicted to fresh fish, just like fresh fish just like I am.
Oh, that is too funny. Your cats are 15 years old?
Yep, they're both well, one's 15 and one's 14, I think. My wife
Oh,
keeps
wow.
trying to remind me how old they are, but yeah, the one cat since it was a kitten always followed me down to the dock and tried to swipe whatever it could from me. And he's a little older now, but he's still real impatient when it comes to waiting for his share.
Yeah. Oh, that's too funny. And I think, what is it right now? So our season started October 4th and runs through the 31st for the fall season. And that is, do you remember off the top of your head what the size range is and the bag limit?
Yeah, it's 19 to 24 inches, one fish per person.
Got it. Got it. Yeah.
Yep,
And what
yep.
about how many? I
The
guess
ocean and
if you had your cat with you, maybe you could keep two, or is that not I guess they don't consider them people.
maybe one and a half.
That's too funny. No, I was just laughing because I was
Yeah.
like scrolling through the pictures and I'm like, why is there little chunks of fresh rockfish sitting on a plate? And then I just go to the next picture, there's Skeeter and
Yeah,
Roxy
they
staring
were
through the
staring at me. Literally,
yeah.
I was in my driveway cleaning the fish, and they're on my upper deck, staring at me, whining like, bring it up to me. So,
That's too funny. That is too funny. Well,
yeah.
I'm glad that you had some fun out there. I know you put in your time, that is for sure. So when it gets rewarded with a great catch, it makes me happy for you because you deserve to have some fun out there chasing them on the jet ski. If folks are listening and want to learn more about personal watercraft fishing and what that takes or what that looks like, or are just interested in following your journeys out there chasing fish, what's the best way that they can get in touch with you or follow you?
Sure, I do quite a few posts on Facebook as Brian M. Lockwood, and that's pretty much I do the quite a few pages, some of the Pocosin fishing pages and Tidewater fishing pages, and my own page, Brian M. Lockwood. And one other thing I'll mention about the way I fish is I fish one rod, like today, one rod, and I have it in my hand the whole time. I'm not just letting it bounce on the bottom in a rod holder. I literally fish it with the rod in my hand and drive and idle because I can feel everything. And that's just to me always the best way to fish with the rod in hand, not just let it sit in the rod holder.
Yep. No, that makes total sense. Some of those bites are so subtle and you just got to be ready to swing. So, and
Yeah.
man, you take some incredible photos too. I got to tell you, like some of the pictures that you got of that sub and the helicopter and the big humpback whale jumping, the sunrises with the, thimble shoal light. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful captures of some of the landscapes around the lower Chesapeake Bay. It really does justice to just how much, I don't know what the word is. Beautiful juxtaposition there is around here with the military colliding with our, daily commuters, our, pilot boats and everything in between. It's really a neat way to see it all.
Well, thanks. I just love being out there, and I agree with you. We're fortunate to have a big variety of fish here and a big variety of things to see while we're on the water, whether it's the wildlife or the military or commercial vessels and other recreational boats. It's just there's always something to see, and I don't hesitate to take a picture of it when I see it.
That's right. And that's so true, man. There's just so much neat stuff going on. Even if you're having a slow day fishing, if you put your eyes up on the horizon, you'll see something interesting. Well, man, thanks for being on the show
Definitely.
again. I really appreciate the report and the stories and the insights into how we can target some of those redfish and stripers here inshore up in the James. Is kind of a neat area that a lot of folks don't explore. Might be worth paying attention to next time you plan your trip. So we appreciate you, Captain Brian. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and you have a good night.
All right, you too. Folks, that's going to wrap up a really cool,
Thanks.
insightful report with Captain Brian, who takes his sea-doo and explore and goes out there and finds the fish almost every single time, it seems. Maybe it's because he's closer to them. Who knows? But we hope you guys enjoyed that. Stick around for a quick word from some of our sponsors. We'll be back with you real soon. Hooked on fishing? Then you're part of the local community that Long Bay Point Bait and Tackle cares about serving and giving back to, providing you with the right selection for each season's target species. They're your one-stop shop to gear up with the best bait, tackle, and insider tips to catch your next trophy fish. You can fuel up right out front on the water and then chat with the crew inside for hot tips on where they're biting. So swing by today. Long Bay Point Bait and Tackle, where your fishing adventures start and finish with your trophy catch on their scales. If you're 21 or older and use nicotine or tobacco, it's time you charge ahead to Black Buffalo, America's only credible smokeless tobacco alternative. Black Buffalo dips just like the real thing, but without the tobacco leaf or stem. Get it now at Wawa, Circle K, Sheetz, Love's, Pilot, Racetrack, and many more that you can see on their store locator at blackbuffalo.com. Black Buffalo Tobacco Alternative is everything you love about dip, nothing you don't. All right, you guys. You might have heard on last week's show, Captain Bill Pappas with Plain Hooky Charters talking about his exciting new sponsorship with Yamaha and his partnership with our local qualified dealer, Troy Marine. And he's excited to get these new 350 Yamaha V8s on the back of his boat, excuse me, V6s on the back of his boat with Helm Master EX. And so I was very, very happy to hear from one of our listeners who also happens to be the director of service at Troy Marine. Um, so, welcome back to the show. What's going
Hey
on?
Luke, glad to be back. I'm glad that we were able to set this up. Try to educate a couple people on what this system is, why Bill's so excited, and all of the great benefits that come along with it. So that way, maybe a couple other people will understand this system and what it can do for them.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm excited to learn about it. I mean, to me, it's revolutionary technology. It answers the question for a lot of, guys with big boats. But before we dive into it, Andrew, tell our listeners just a little bit about you and the overview of sort of your journey in the boating and maritime and now, marine services industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started off at Troy Marine, coming up on 10 years here shortly, washing boats. And I have moved up through all the different levels of Troy's, doing different things, getting my hands dirty where I can. I was a technician. I've been Yamaha certified through several different levels: advanced technician, practice technician, electrical, YDIS, everything that you can pretty much get through Yamaha. Going back to go ahead and get my Master Tech certification next time we go through Yamaha stuff. But outside of that, yeah, I have been in the marine industry for a long time before that. I was a mate on some charter boats, so I've been in Bill's shoes, been in his mate's shoes, and I've seen what some of this technology can do and how important it is to have the right engines, have the most reliable engines, because time off the water is time that you're not getting and money that you're not getting. So it's a big
Absolutely.
aspect.
Yep, yep. That is so true, man. And Bill's obviously a big fan of you guys. And one of the things that you guys do that's unique is you actually go to Yamaha certified training at Yamaha to get your credentials, which is very unique. I mean, not everybody has that. So I kind of want to just start with the basics. So, like today's world, we have, outboards. I think what was it? Mercury came out a while ago with Skyhook, which was kind of like a version of joystick control, but really kind of like an analog version of that. And then we've got, of course, trolling motors, which are great for, certain size boats, but you kind of hit a threshold, what, around the
There's yeah,
36?
there's boats up to the 30s that have stuff like that. But yeah, we're one of the few dealers that I can, personally say I know goes to Yamaha school in actual at Yamaha facilities.
Right.
I mean, of course we deal with Yamahas every day. That's all we deal with. We're a Yamaha key dealer. We also offer the sales and service of Avid boats here, but biggest thing, of course, is those Yamaha outboards, which is what we're talking about today. Of course, your listeners won't be able to see it, but if you look behind me, you'll see all those nice, pretty things up on the wall. That's
Oh
all the
yeah.
Yamaha certifications from the last couple of years that we've taken care of for me. But yeah, going back to this, there's a ton of options as far as trolling motors and things that people are going to for the smaller boats. But there's a ton of the things that the trolling motor does that this system, Hellmaster EX, can handle. So you don't have to do
On a larger boat.
well, even on a smaller boat. We can
Right,
put
right.
Hellmaster EX on a single engine boat. So
Really?
you're talking about down into the 20s, low 20 footers with a single 150.
Huh. Interesting. So for the average listener who's hearing Helm Master EX for the first time, it's almost like when we hear self-driving for the first time, we're like, but really how good is it,
Mhm.
So how good is it? Like what are some of the key capabilities that it can do that either a trolling motor can't do or can't do as well?
So I'll put it to you like this: Yamaha does not put anything out into the market until they have tested it and how they go through and test everything is the reason why you haven't seen a 600 or 800 horsepower Yamaha out yet, because they want it to be how they want it to be. And if they're going to put their name on it, they want to make sure it's going to live up to that. So they are not going to put this system out unless they know what it's going to do and know that it's going to provide what the customers want. But we can walk through the different levels of it. There's actually 4 levels of Helm Master right now.
Oh,
Would
okay.
surprise me if they add on, 5, 6, 7 different levels at some point.
Right.
But right now you got 4 levels. The first level is just standard DEC, and what that's called is digital electronic control.
Okay.
All that is a DEC engine, digital electronic control engine, that is controlled by a digital electronic control, just how it sounds, which
Okay.
is just that regular 704 control box that you have on your boat with mechanical. Same exact principle, but in a digital application.
Okay.
So it's a digital control in comparison to the one that you have on a mechanical setup. So a little bit different there. Then if you do have DEC, say you have level 1, so you have DEC level 1, which is your digital electronic control, but you're still
Mm-hmm.
using your C-Star, Bay-Star steering.
Mm-hmm.
That's level 1. Level 2 is when you bump up to DES, like I have an Aquasport here that is a level 2 boat. And what that has is it has digital electronic control and digital electronic steering. So
Okay.
that's when you get into fly-by-wire steering. That's the phrase that everybody uses, when it
Yeah.
first came out, fly-by-wire. Fly-by-wire control, fly-by-wire steering. So you can sit there and turn the steering wheel with your pinky if you want to. I can
Mm-hmm.
actually change it to where if you're below 2,000 RPMs, your lock to lock pulling up to the dock is 4 turns instead of 7. And I can make it to where over 2,000 RPMs or at different RPM ranges, it goes from anywhere from 4 up to 7. So I can make it at 3,500, it's 5. And at $5,000, you're 7 turns lock to lock. So that way, somebody doesn't tap the wheel and you're over into the next Gulf Stream there.
You've just like blown my mind. I'm just thinking about how for those that are listening, like if you're not really paying close attention to what he just said, it's essentially like picture like a I'm trying to think of a good analogy. Almost like driving your car. Like you don't want to just
Essentially.
barely touch the steering wheel and feel the car jump halfway out of your lane when you're going 70 miles an hour. Conversely, when you're trying to, park, it stinks having to go like 17 turns to try to get your wheels all the way cut so you can go and do a parallel. So it's almost like steering assist where it's like it's giving you or even a better analogy would be like the retrieve rate on a reel. Like when you
Yep.
need to be able to get more line, it's the gear ratio is going to be, much, much higher, and then when you need to be more, tactical or just with a little minor, move, it's going to be a much lower gear ratio. And then that's so
Yep.
genius. I
Just
mean, that's
just
awesome.
just like the 2 different speeds on a Tiagra 80. It's kind of the same principle like what you were saying. And listeners, if you're not listening very well, listen up. This is a lot of good information jam packed into a little short segment, so that way we can talk about it.
Yeah.
But it is good information, and if you listen hard, you will pick up on a lot of this stuff that is really cool that kind of gets dug down in. We're trying to hit the spark notes here, but it is a lot of good stuff and cool features.
Yeah, sorry for the sidebar. I was just totally
Oh, you're
nerding
you're
out.
good,
I'm
man.
like, man, that's so cool to just have that ability when you're parking the boat to not be sitting there, turning the wheel so hard and all that good stuff. So
So
that was level 2.
yeah, normally how I set it up is I do it 4 turns lock to lock below 1,000, below 2,000.
Hmm.
Anything over 2,000, it's 7.
Yeah.
Just so that way it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna be rolling into the dock at 3,000 RPMs. I hate to break
Hmm.
it to you. If you are, good luck.
Yep.
Anyway, moving up from level 2. So to touch back on it just a little bit, there's 2 different ways you can go about it. So if you already have level 1 DEC, especially the newer style, you can add on bolt-on DES. So think of it kind of just like a C-Star cylinder, but it looks just like it almost, but it's electric. Boogie woogie woogie. So you can do it that way, or all the new engines, you can get them, or a majority of them, with built-in DES. So that's the surround pods that you see on the new
Okay.
motors.
Yep.
When you look at the 350s, stuff like that,
Hmm.
that's DEC built-in DES is what
Yeah.
those motors are straight from the factory. We plug them in, you're done. So that gets away from hydraulic leaks, all that good stuff. It's
Hmm.
great.
Yep.
So level 3 is when you start getting into some of the pretty real cool features. Um, Autopilot. In a single engine application, you don't have all the features with autopilot joystick.
Okay.
Twin engine, trips, quads, quints, all that stuff, you're good. But some of the autopilot features, you get your course hold, which is just, automatically adjusting to wind and current, but holds a steady course. Heading hold, which is not going to, do any of that. It's just going to keep your heading.
Hmm.
Um, Track point navigates through selected MFD waypoints. Say you have it hooked to your Garmin, plot a point on your Garmin, hit go to like you normally would, and it will take you there. So it will integrate with that kind of thing. You do have some arrow buttons on the actual controller, so you can edit your heading or course by 1 degree or 5 degrees. Say, you're off a little bit, whatever. You
Yeah.
can alter that by the push of a button.
Okay.
Pattern steer is pretty cool, especially for you offshore guys and wreck guys.
Hmm.
So if you have the transducer sitting there pinging its little heart out, you can sit there and do some stuff like pattern search, zigzag, spirals, Williamson turns, and create yourself a grid till
Okay.
you get over top of the wreck that you're wanting to get to.
Got
So
it.
you can sit there and plot your point. You know, I want to do pattern search starting here, set it up, and it will sit there and do that while you're, focusing more on your sonar than you are where you're going. So you, of course, look around,
That's
make sure you're not
cool.
going to hit anything,
Yeah.
but it is literally just like a checkerboard.
That
Or
makes a lot of
for
sense. I've been out there several times and I'm like, man, am I kind of going over ground that I've just gone over? And then I'm having to spend time like zooming in really
Yep.
close on my tracks. And then it's not really like an organized pattern. And what you're talking about is really cool. If you go to the YamahaOutboards.com Helm Master site, you can actually see diagrams of these different pattern searches and Williamson turns
Mm-hmm.
that you're talking about that essentially are digitally telling the boat to run a certain course
Mm-hmm.
over top of an area that you've set a waypoint on. So like your point, and I even remember Bill Pappas talking about this a long time ago. He's like, you spend all that time getting out to the wreck, take some time and look around the wreck because you're
Mm-hmm.
likely to see a cloud of fish somewhere. So like by taking advantage of this, it sounds like you can run a pattern over top of a wreck and know that you've kind of properly explored the whole area.
Yeah, so you could take and say, you're dead nuts over top of the rack. You could put it on a spiral and get it zoned out to where your spirals are, say, 200 foot apart, and you're just circling that wreck to see what else is around it.
Hmm.
Same thing for if you're on a change offshore and you kind of want to bounce back and forth across the two different sides of the change. Well, you can set up the zigzag to go for a long while, and it will zigzag you across that change that you want to be on. And it's a great little feature that a lot of people don't use. It's mainly geared towards those guys that fish, but it is a great thing to have. Most people use, your course hold and your track point is the main
Hmm.
two things because people want to be able to hit a button on their Garmin and
Hmm.
then hit a button on their autopilot panel and go to wherever they want to go. It's
Got
pretty
it.
simple. So, yeah, pretty cool features there with level 3. Of course, you do have to have it's a compounding system, so you have to have level 1 to get level 2. You got to have level 2 to get level 3.
Hmm.
Um, and then of course where we're about to go, which is level 4, which is when you start getting into joysticks. Um,
I do want to
you
pause
Yeah.
because you got my interest really piqued. And I'm looking at the different things, and there's so many different capabilities that directly apply to some of the fishing types that we do here. And one that is very interesting to me that I know a lot of guys struggle with is what they call bump trolling when they're like
Hmm.
trolling eels for striper. And one of the capabilities is the pattern shift where you
Yep.
can set it to a certain speed that you want and it will automatically, maybe do 20% throttle, 30%, whatever, and keep a certain speed that is slightly below if you were just in gear. Um,
So
that's
let's
pretty
jump
cool.
let's jump all the way back to level 1 because that's a couple features of level 1 that are neat that I don't usually hit on.
Hmm.
Um, Speed control and trim assist. Speed control is what you're talking about.
Okay.
If you have it in gear and say you're in a no wake zone for our recreational guys, say you're in a no wake zone and you just want to bump it up to 1,000 RPMs because you're not making a wake, you're only going 2 mile an hour or whatever, or you're just cruising around. you can sit there and bump it up at 50 RPM increments till you get to, it's usually 500 either side of where you engage it. But you can sit there and bump it up to say 1,000 RPMs while you're in this no wake zone. So that way you don't have to sit there and manage the throttle. Same thing like what you were talking about. You keep going down, and it's going to end up going into pattern shift where it's keeping you. You can set it up to either RPM or whatever, so that way you're going at a certain speed for king fishing, where you got to go really really slow live baiting for kings, and you just can have that functionality to where you don't have to sit there and your arms getting tired and
Right.
everything else, and you're not managing your speed correctly. You're at 6 knots, and then you're at 2 knots, and
Yep.
you're not doing it right. Um, inconsistency is one of the biggest things that's going to cause you to not have as many hookups.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
Trim Assist is a feature that is pretty neat. You set it up on a slick glass column day, and you use it on a slick glass column day. It will trim the motors when engaged to different percentages. Say, at 4,000 RPMs, you want them trimmed to 40%.
Hmm.
6,000 RPMs, you want them trimmed at 70%. Something like that. It's a preset. It is a pretty neat feature, but you can only really use it if you set it up on slick glass column day and you use it on slick glass column day in what I use it for.
Okay.
If you are one of the guys that has dual engines, trips, quads, quints, duals, there is a button on your control that says single lever. I absolutely love this feature. What it does is, instead of having to sit there and match up your controls, which are not going to be hard anyway, but especially on the mechanicals, the struggle there, of them being off by a couple hundred RPMs. Well, if you put single lever on, it's going to sync those two engines together, and you're only using one lever of the control to do everything.
Nice. That's very
So
nice.
I just moved the other one out of the way. I find it really good on rough days because I only have to rest my hand on the control and have that one lever in between my index and my thumb.
Got
And
it.
I'm just sitting there perfectly fine. Doesn't matter how rough it is, I can hold on to it
Hmm.
versus accidentally hitting them, whatever.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
a really good feature
Yeah.
that I think a lot of people really, really enjoy.
Or if you're sight fishing, it's much easier to just pull one lever back when you see a fish versus having to remember to reach down and grab two. It's much more simple.
Yeah. You can still split the sticks, all that good stuff that you're used to. Now, when we start getting into joystick, you'll find yourself splitting the sticks a whole lot less. So we're going to get into that real quick. So, couple different things on the joystick, and we'll do a little announcement here at the inside of this. On the joysticks that everybody's seen, you got a couple different features. Of course, the joystick itself make the boat walk sideways. You can go forward, you can go backwards, you could twist it, you could turn it, you could make it do. Can't make it do somersaults and backflips, but everything short of that, you can pretty much do.
Yeah.
But it has some really good preset features in it that are absolutely astounding. Um, Set point, you can put the boat in a desired position without constant interaction. So pretty much think of it like spotlight. Pretty
Hmm.
much stay point is going to keep the boat heading in position. Like when you're waiting for a fuel dock or a drawbridge or something like that, stay point just keeps it right there. That's it.
Got it.
So all these things I'm about to go through are all point features, is what they're called. Stay point, fish point, drift point, all that stuff.
Okay.
So stay point, just went through that. And you can actually tap the joystick one way or the other to alter your position. So say, you're in stay point,
Hmm.
but the school's moving a little bit further. They're kind of going with the current. You can
Uh-huh.
bump the boat 20 foot over and be right back on top of them
Oh, okay.
without ever touching the control, without having to turn around, without having to pick up the anchor. You just tap that joystick over, and then you're there. So
That's very
it's
cool.
really cool.
And I also, this is like more for the pleasure boater, which is a lot of heart boating around here. Like if you look at
Yeah.
Virginia Beach, Norfolk, even out in Suffolk, there's a lot of pleasure boating. There's a lot of pulling up to docks. One of the neat features of Stay Point is that ability to just kind of like park yourself. So like
Mm-hmm.
imagine you're pulling up to Chicks or Dockside or Back Deck, and you're the captain and everybody on board. In a lot of those scenarios, the captain's the only capable person on board. So
Or
it's
the only
nice.
sober person on board.
Yeah, or the
Think
only
about,
sober person.
Harborfest. Think
Oh
of it like
yeah.
that.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
you got a million boats trying to anchor up, and you get tired of sitting there,
Yep.
jockeying. Throw it in
Well,
stay point, man.
yep. Just so I'm thinking like, okay, I pull up. I'm like, okay, I got to get fenders out. I got to get ropes out instead of having to be like, hey, Steve, hey, Susan, hey, I don't know why all my friends have old names, but Steve and Susan. Hope you're not offended by that. Um, Bertha, Gertrude, Ethel, go grab the ropes. But no, just hit the button, park it, go take care of my business as a captain, and then when I'm ready to come back, and assess the I'm not worried about the current drifting me away or any of that stuff. It's very cool. So okay, so that's stay point, and like you
That's stay
said, you
point.
could just bump yourself left or right,
Hmm.
and then you're right back parked where you were, which is
Same thing,
perfect for wreck fishing.
forward, backwards, all four directions. So forward,
Okay.
backwards, left, right, whatever you want to do. And the good part about it is you have prop lights, is what they're called. They go either on the engine or on the boat, and they illuminate anytime the joystick is on. So that is what alerts people if you're in the water or say you're at the sandbar or whatever, and that alerts people that hey, this boat is shifting, it is doing what it is doing. Stay clear of the motors. Um, but yeah, that's stay point, and that's the safety feature of the joystick that makes sure that you are not by the motors. It alerts people. Um, yeah, let's get into the next one. Fish point keeps the
Hmm.
boat's position despite current or wind. It can keep the bow position with fish point bow or the stern position with fish point stern. So, say you're not using stay point, you want to do fish point bow or fish point stern.
Hmm.
So that way, fish point bow allows operator to keep the boat's bow on a set position despite wind or current while the engine stays under 800 RPMs. It's going to try to do whatever it can. Now, say it's blowing 30 and you got 10 knots of current. It's only going to do what it can do. It
Hmm.
will kick itself out and tell you, hey, look, bro, I can't keep up.
Got it.
Um, but most of the time, you're good. So you can actually pick fish point bow or fish point stern, and it's going to allow whichever one you're not using to move more. And, say you're doing fish point stern, it's going to try to keep that right where it's at.
Got it. So
So,
it
say you're
focuses
sword
more,
fishing right now,
right.
same thing.
Okay. So I want to try to make sure I understand the difference between fish point, stern, and bow versus stay point. So if I hit stay point, it's just going to lock me in whatever position I'm currently in, regardless.
Yep.
Whereas if I go up on a spot and I go, okay, I know I want to fish off my bow here. If I pull up on that spot and hit fish point and bow, it's going to position the boat to put the bow on that spot. If I hit
Hmm.
stern, it's going to position the boat to put the stern on that spot. Is
Yeah.
the reasoning there that you do that based on what the conditions are?
Well, it's conditions, but it's also, it's minimizing the amount of shift and throttle activity. So it's allowing that end that you're not using, whether it be bow or stern, to move a little bit more freely.
Hmm.
So that way it's only trying to keep up with that back end or that bow end.
So it's not keeping the
So
whole boat stationary. It's
correct.
just keeping the. Okay, so like if you were fishing off the stern on the wreck, you would probably do fish
Hmm.
point stern.
Correct.
If it was really like choppy out and you're like, we probably need to have our bow into the waves,
Hmm.
you would do fish point bow, and then that way the
Correct.
back can swing a little bit. Is the purpose of that to basically not overtax? And this kind of leads into my one of my more serious like mechanical questions like is that to not overtax the lower units because I'm just picturing the amount of rapid shifting going on. Is that potentially damaging the lower units in the same way that like every car now has like an auto start stop on it?
So everything has an auto start stop on it now, like what you were talking about. I'm one of those guys that absolutely hate it because what if my starter goes out at a red light, or what if my starter relay goes out at a red light? No, screw
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Um, but in this scenario, those motors are shifting faster than you can shift them, and they are sitting there and actually um, computerized shifting through all the electronics and these things. You are not going to tear up those liver units using that joystick. It will not let it.
Huh.
You can have them things on level 5 sitting there, manually doing it as fast as you want to, and it is not going. The amount of warranties and stuff like that on lower units due to joystick problems is beyond minimal. That's
Interesting.
part of that Yamaha reliability that everybody counts on so much, and I'm sure that Bill is going to put that to the flipping test to the letter.
If anybody will,
If
he
anybody's
definitely
going to do
will.
it, he's going to try it. Um, Now, but yeah, Yamaha's reliability is there for a reason, and they're not going to allow their system to tear up any of their products.
So just from like a thinking about this mechanically and kind of understanding how a dog clutch works and all that, like picturing the lower unit functioning, like I know you kind of have to come back to neutral and let the sort of RPMs of the engine come down a little bit before shifting with manual, cable controls. Otherwise, you really hear that clunk, where
Hmm.
that dog clutch is catching when it's still spinning. So is it basically electronically buffering itself from hard shifts like that?
So yes, the lower units and everything and the motors can cut what they need to create it to shift, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So like I said, same thing. They're not going to self-destruct themselves. They will not let it. They will drop whatever they need to, decrease RPMs before shifting, wait to shift, whatever they need to do to not tear anything up is
Got
the
it.
biggest thing. Like I said, reliability is the trademark almost of Yamaha. They want to make sure that their stuff is going to last, and they're not going to put you in that position of setting you up to fail. They're not going
Yeah.
to do that. Yeah, that's Fish Point. It's a really cool feature for guys that fish. It's awesome. Um, we can go into Drift Point, which I think Bill is going to absolutely love.
Mm.
Um, Drift Point allows the operator to set a boat's heading, not the position, but your heading, and it allows the boat to drift with the current and wind. So,
Interesting.
so you're keeping your heading, but you're going with the drift.
Okay, so you're not like getting turned sideways. You're so if you're like, okay, I want to, drift down the side of this wreck
Hmm.
instead of like drifting down and just kind of like spinning in circles or whatever the
Hmm.
current and wind does to you, it's gonna hold you maybe perfectly parallel to that wreck as you
It's going to
drift so
hold
that
you on that heading.
yeah,
So whatever your heading is at that time, it's going to keep the boat's position on that heading, or not position, but it's going to keep that heading and then allow the boat to drift with the current and the wind. So it's
got it.
going to still move you with the current and wind, but you're going to keep your heading.
Got it. Got it. That's
Yeah.
very cool. So if I was on like a an uneven like shoreline,
Hmm.
uh I could like hit that and it would let me drift along the shoreline without bumping into the shoreline.
No, we're going to get there. We're
Okay.
going to get there. Think about it. You're sitting there over top of, some rocks or whatever. You're sword fishing, or you're
Mm-hmm.
sitting over top of a canyon sword fishing. You got the wind coming at you from the north. You set up pointed east, due east. You're going
Yeah.
to keep that heading of due east, but that wind's
Uh,
coming at you from the north. So you're going to go south, but it's going to keep you pointed east while you're going
I
south.
see. I see. Okay. So you can maintain the optimal fishing position of the boat
Hmm.
based on what you're drifting over
But
and
I
without being
think
spun
you're
around.
I think you're really going to like what I got next for you then,
All right.
because going to your thing of land, say you're in the bay, whatever, you have this, dog leg of a peninsula you're
Uh-huh.
fishing around. There is a feature called Drift Point Track. This is the part that you're going to like. So, same thing, it keeps your heading. It's great for drift fishing, wreck, or kite fishing. Um, but it allows you to plot points along your drift. So, say your wind or current is coming at you, same thing, from the north going south, and you're due east. You can plot points all along that drift, and it's going to drift you the same heading that you're going. But say your point, you're, you know, 500 foot off the coast, and you plot a point 200 foot from the coast, a half mile down. It's going to bump you up as you go on that drift, keeping the same heading, but it's going to keep you going to that point and then going to the next point and then going to the next point on your drift.
Oh, interesting. So you can
So,
almost like draw a sort of blueprint on the map that outlines the edge of the, feature that
yeah,
you're trying to fish. And instead of trying to maneuver the boat to go hit all those different, spots or docks or whatever, you can just set that plot and then the boat will take you there and you're just casting the whole time,
yeah.
working that bank or working that ledge or whatever the
Do
case
you
is.
do you one better? Say you're trigger fishing and
Mm-hmm.
you got, these four different wrecks that are, a mile between them.
Mm-hmm.
You can drift up to the first wreck and you got your plots pointed. Say it's, a quarter mile, you know, northeast of where you're at, whatever the case is. You can plot to go from this wreck to that wreck to the next wreck to the next wreck on a drift.
Oh, wow.
So you bang them right on up. You got 20 triggers in the boat, whatever. On your first one, then you're giving your mate a little bit of time to recover, going drifting to the next one.
Yeah.
Then you're hitting them there, giving your mate a little bit of time to recover, drifting to the next one.
Oh, that's so cool.
That is a wicked feature. That is just nuts. Um, it's really cool. Of course, you have to have some integration stuff set up to be able to do it, but it is an awesome feature for guys that rackfish and
That's so
bankfish.
cool.
Of course,
That's so
bankfish,
cool.
you have to be so precise with your plotting on a
Hmm.
bank. So, of course, this is, you're fishing a quarter mile from the bank. You can use it
Right.
all day long. If you're using 50 foot from the bank, I don't know if I'd be using it 50 foot from the bank. That's just me.
Right.
I'd have to be really, really trusting in that whatever GPS unit I'm using.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's level 4. So level 1, control only with, of course, a DEC motor. Level
Right.
2, steering and control with a DEC motor with either bolt-on DES or integrated DES. Level 3 is your autopilot. Level 4
Hmm.
is your joystick. And
Okay.
here's what I am going to call the unofficial level 5. Give us a drum roll here. I wish I had one.
Drum
Um,
roll.
Yamaha is coming out with a single-handed operation joystick. It is the Helm Master EX wireless control system. That's what it's
What?
called. So this is a joystick that fits in the palm of your hand. And what
Wow.
it does is you have all the functionality of a joystick mounted to your dash. But think about on workboats, stuff like that, if they don't have a separate joystick station, which is possible,
Hmm.
um, you can have this right here where you have a joystick somewhere on the boat, and then up top or at the back of the boat, whatever the case may be, you're walking around with this guy in your hand, and you can do everything that that joystick on
Completely,
the dash can do,
completely hands free.
completely hands free. So it does have a couple features that you have to do it. Of course, you have to have levels 1 through 4 of Helm Master EX. But you also have in this kit that it's going to be through. It's going to be available single through Quint configurations. Of course, like I said, there are some features on the joystick that you can't have with single engine application, like stay point, I believe it is.
Hmm.
Um, but of course, everything else you'll still have. So with this, you have a couple man overboard bracelets, just like you
Okay.
remember the
Like
old
a little
style that you
lanyard.
used to have. Yep, just like
Yeah.
the old style that you used to have. Instead of it being a lanyard, this is a think of it about the size of an Apple Watch, essentially. So
Okay.
it's an Apple Watch that you wear. So if you do go overboard, it cuts everything off.
Got it.
So that is the new thing coming out for 2026. Is I talked to Yamaha actually this morning about it because I got customers that are waiting on it. Should be available early 2026, and we
Oh
are
man.
excited.
I'd be
Um,
very excited. I mean, that's going to be revolutionary. I even think especially for the charter captains who need to be like, moving around the boat, doing things, and then, now they actually can.
Yeah, they don't call him Wild Bill for no reason. He could have this thing up top and then be yelling at his mate downstairs. He never does that, but yet walk downstairs because he needs to untangle something and have this with him. So that way, if he needs to bump the boat 50 foot to the other side, or he's come off the wreck and he needs to do something, or whatever, he can have this guy hanging around his neck. Um, Once again, of course, you have to have those man overboard bracelets, and it does have man overboard alerts.
Okay.
So it will if a passenger or captain falls overboard, it will trigger the boat to
To actually
decelerate to
cut
a
off.
stop. Yeah. Or immediately turn the engines off, depending on the situation.
Got it. Man,
Yeah. So
that's freaking cool.
it's really cool. Uh, it'll also, with access to Helmmaster EX Autopilot, the new wireless control system allows captains to set heading and course, making adjustments on the fly as needed.
Oh
And that's for
wow.
autopilot functionality through this joystick as well.
That's incredible, man. So, you know, I'm trying to think of obviously there's the charter captain application, which is incredibly clear and abundant. But when we think about the average recreational fisherman and how the joystick would potentially change their world, what are some scenarios you can think of where it would be really beneficial and useful?
So let's think about this on a thing of you got a 26-foot regulator. There's a million of them out there.
Yeah.
And you and your wife went and had a great dinner at Decoys. Y'all had a great meal, headed back home, and you are about to tie the boat up at the dock, whatever the case may be. You can sit there with that joystick in your hand and set the boat wherever you want it, move it up or backwards right up against the floating dock, and tie your front line. Then walk to the back of the boat, bump it up 10 foot, tie your back line, move your fenders, do whatever you want to do while moving throughout the boat and never have to go back to the helm.
Oh, that's sick. That's so sick. It's like instead of having to sit there and do what we normally do, which is like try to time, when we
Mm-hmm.
jump off the boat and we tie up the bow really fast and we try to run back and grab the stern line before it floats away. And then we're pulling with all of our might to move the boat back. Now we're just like hopping off, using the joystick, bringing the boat
Well,
in close.
and I know what people are going to say, well, what was your wife doing that whole time? Well, she already done went in the house and she's going to get comfortable. She
Yeah.
left you to tie the boat up, dude. So yeah, that's a simple
Yeah.
explanation of a great thing that can do for you. Once again, levels 1 through 4, all of them have their place, and the good part about it is a buildable system, so you
Hmm.
don't automatically have to have level 4. You don't automatically have to have this joystick.
Got
You
it.
can have level 1, you can have level 2, you can then move up to level 3, you can then move up to level 4 based off of whatever your needs are. So what I tell people is I'm like, all right, cool. If you want to get into the DEC side of things, say you got a 24-foot Grady,
Yeah.
and you aren't thinking that you're ever going to use autopilot, you're that guy, which I understand. I've been on many a boat without an autopilot, and I get it. Um, However, you want to be able to build that down the road. And the
Hmm.
way I tell people, I'm like, look, you may be 35 or 40 now thinking you're never going to use autopilot. Come back and talk to me in 20 years when you want to sit there and, cruise up the river or whatever and don't have to touch anything.
Uh,
And
I
see,
can attest. I've been converted to autopilot. My good friend Dave and his boat, Bullet One. It's a 35 foot with twin 350s, and I was like, man, it's so much more fun to drive. But when you get done with a long day on the wrecks and you're just exhausted and your back hurts and your arms are tired, there's nothing like being able to just sit back and actually relax a little bit.
absolutely. And that's what I try to tell people. I'm like, it's not the part of you're spending a little bit more money to put DEC on the boat for the features that you're having now. It's also for the features that you can have in the future.
Hmm.
Get the system now and then build on it as you
Yeah.
want it, as you need it. If you end up doing more wreck fishing in 2026 than you did in 2025, and you're like, I don't want to pay 3 grand for a trolling motor, I just think I want to add on to the Yamaha system that I have, so that way it can be better.
Okay. Very, very cool. Yeah, and I see what you're saying too. It's like if you're gonna get a new set of motors, like don't short strike yourself just to save a few bucks in the near term and then have to spend way, way more if you wanted to add those things on in the future. So, which kind of brings me to my next question. Like, how cost prohibitive are these things? Like, we're talking about some pretty revolutionary technology. We're talking about some serious electronics. Like, in contrast to like the traditional price point that we all probably have in our minds for like a new set of motors, like for me, when I got my twin 150s, it was like 30 grand. Where are we at these days with the price of these motors to be ready to build the system on it?
So it really goes back to that whole thing of this system is customizable to what you need and what you want. One guy may be spending 20 grand, one guy may spend, 150 grand. It
Hmm.
all depends on what you're doing, A, what size motors you're dealing with,
Right.
and then, of course, what features you're looking at adding on is the biggest thing. So you're still in that normal ballpark of, per horsepower or whatever the old saying is.
Yeah.
Um, but when you start getting into the DEC stuff, is it a little bit more expensive? Yes. Is it worth it because that is where all the technology is going? Yes.
Right.
Because then if you go from, say, you got, twin 200s and then you end up wanting to go to twin 250s,
Hmm.
okay. Of course, you got many other factors there, but also, with this system, if it's DEC to DEC, you're still good, just like you were mechanical to mechanical. But now you're getting into so much DEC stuff that trying to find mechanical 300s that you can use with your mechanical control, your mechanical steering, your everything like that's impossible. It's
Well,
really hard.
it's not impossible because Bill Pappas is going to have a beautiful set of analog, manual, whatever you want to call it, 300s for sale come March that have been maintained by you and him. So
Nope.
are they
So
not? They're not?
his are DEC
Oh,
300s.
excuse me.
They
Excuse
are
me.
DEC. He is DEC level 1. So
Okay.
people, if we've remembered, this is your pop quiz. He has DEC level 1. What does that mean? Do 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 do
He
do
has
do do.
digital electronic controls,
Correct. He has digital
but not
electronic
digital
control,
electronic steering.
not digital electronic steering.
So we
He
can
has
take,
C-Star steering with a Garmin autopilot right now.
got it.
We are going to, when he goes into this new age and generation of Yamaha V6 350s, 4.3 liters, he is going to go into the age of Yamaha level 4, which means that he has to have one, two, three before he can have level 4. So right now
Got it.
he's level 1, just control. He does not have Yamaha steering. He is about to get a huge upgrade,
Oh yeah.
which means he is going to have some electronic steering, autopilot, joystick. I'm sure he is going to want me to get him in on this, um, wireless joystick system that's going to be coming out because I know we're doing this in March. Um, so I'm sure he's going to want all of the latest, greatest goodies. But it is a great set of motors. We have maintained the ever living crap out of them. Like
I
he was
know
saying, I
that's
think he's
right.
got 3,000 hours or something like that on them.
Oh, they're just
Um,
broken in.
Oh yeah. I mean, worst thing that you can do for an outboard is let it sit, just like a vehicle.
Yeah.
Um, I trust an outboard that's got 4,000 hours on it that's 10 years old versus a motor that's 10 years old with 200 hours on it
Yeah.
all day
Yeah. Because
long.
stuff is just sitting in there rotting. And, you know, uh, I do want to ask this question, and it's kind of been burning in the back of my head the whole time. Like, how does it work with, when I have electronic steering? The electronic controls, it kind of is in the back of my head, but it doesn't seem for whatever reason as dangerous should this scenario arise. But what happens if I have a total electrical failure? Am I just dead in the water? No steering, no controls, nothing?
So if you had a electrical failure to the degree that you would have, it would not matter if you were on DEC, mechanical, whatever you were doing. Let's just talk like lightning strike, complete
Hmm.
dead, total darkness. Um, it would not matter what kind of system you have, what brand you have, whatever. It's not going to work.
Got it.
Um, if you fry everything to that degree, because even your mechanical motors still have to have electricity to start.
True. So maybe a different scenario would be the motors have enough juice to start, but then for whatever reason, while operating, I have a voltage drop or a voltage issue. Is it really a concern, or is this just all in my head with the whole idea of like purely electronic steering versus
So
pumping,
electronic steering, if you want to focus on the steering side, electronic steering, if it were to ever go out, Yamaha gives you this nice little black case, and it has a Allen wrench and a regular wrench inside of it. And
okay,
what that is for is you can take the side cover off of one of those pods, and it has a nut behind it, and you can sit there and spin that motor straight and get you home. Same thing, of course, get them straight or turn them if you were in a single engine application, you need to turn it. Um, if you were twins, get them straight, run it with the motors, vary your RPMs, whatever you need to do to turn whichever
okay,
way.
got it.
But yes, there is still a safeguard to get you home should your steering go out.
So is that essentially like breaking them free from the electronic control and then
It's
you're
manual
able to
at that point.
manually move them?
Manual override button, click.
Got it. Got it. Okay. That makes me happy. I was like, man, surely there's got to
Mhm.
be some safeguard, because like with hydraulic steering, I even had this recently where we lost most of our steering, but it like let us down easy because it was just a
Mhm.
drop in hydraulic fluid because one of our hoses leaked. So like
Mhm.
upstairs was really tough to steer because that helm was pretty much run dry, but downstairs we could still move the motors effectively. So in that scenario, like I felt like we could get home safely, didn't
Mhm.
have to call, CTOW. Um, so in your scenario, there's a little black box with a special key
Yeah,
that gets us home.
essentially.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. So you
essentially.
You answered that one for me. And then the next question is about warranties. Like, are the warranties covering all these electronics too, or is it the traditional warranty in the sense of like the block, the lower?
So your Yamaha warranty is still your Yamaha warranty. Anything that Yamaha messes up that is covered under warranty, they will of course fix. You can ask Bill that. There's been stuff that I've been like, Bill, I have no clue what they are going to tell me about this, but we're going to try.
Got
Um,
it.
Being in warranty, in his case, being commercial, stuff like that, of course, plays a factor. But anything that Yamaha has always stood behind their products. If
Got
it
it.
is something that Yamaha messed up, I've had stuff that's, off the wall craziness while we're rigging a boat. And they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, you got another one on the shelf, right? Yeah, of course. Yeah, send me the one that's in your hand. We're going to sit here, at the main warehouse and we're going to test that thing out and see what's going on so that way we can improve on it.
Right.
Throw another one in it that, of course, is good.
Yeah.
But hey, this one off, once in a million thing, yeah, we want to test that. And that's the
Yeah.
kind of people and company that they are. They want to fix issues before you're on the water with them.
Got it.
Which of course issues with Yamaha are so few and far between. It's nuts. Of course, you've had your Yamahas for a long while, and I'm sure you've had next to zero issues out of them.
Yeah. I've only had one warranty repair, and it was just like a kind of common known thing where you all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden you pop a little corrosion out of the side of the exhaust port just from
Mm-hmm.
dissimilar metals. But I mean, easy warranty fix in and out 2 days. Other than that, 2,800 hours or yeah, 2,800 hours and running strong, no issues from like a mechanical perspective. So if you guys obviously went down and did the training for Helm Master directly at Yamaha. You guys are certified in it. So if folks are either looking at a new boat and trying to figure out what power they're going to put on it, or they have a boat that they want to repower and are between, level one DEC, level two DESC, or level three, which is DESC plus Helmmaster, right?
Yeah, DEC, DES, and then you start getting into the real Helm Master ish stuff of autopilot and joystick.
Right.
But the biggest thing is, with with everything going on in the world, there's a lot of guys that have sentimental boats and boats that they've used for years that they love. They
Yeah.
don't want to sell them. They want to revive it and go into, let's put 20 grand into this boat instead of spending 200 on a new one of the same
Hmm.
exact boat. Let's
Yeah.
spend 20 and get a brand new boat out of this essentially. You would
Hmm.
be amazed how much a boat changes when you repower it.
Mm.
How how much more it feels like a new boat.
Oh, I
And
agree.
the
Yeah.
other thing that I'll say is, guys, do not be afraid of these new 350s. They learned from their mistake with the V8 350s, and they will not have that again.
Oh, all those lower you look. What was it?
No,
We finally got
flywheels.
flywheels. That's what it was. It was finally revision C of those
Hmm.
old V8s that they got it right, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
So, of course, all the ones that had the recalls, you still get flywheels for those and all that good stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, don't be afraid of these new 350 V6s. Them things are absolute monsters. They are powerful as all get out. They are strong. They are silent. And they are reliable.
Hmm.
Um, we did a set recently on a couple different boats, and they run like they're supposed to.
Yeah.
They are really cool. They act how you would think.
They're considerably
And
lighter too than the
mhm.
do you happen to know off the top of your head the poundage difference?
Oh Lord, come on, man. You're making me quote stuff. Um, I do not off the top of my head. I know it's not much in comparison.
So I'm looking at it up right now. So the
I was about to say, I
old
don't know if my little cheat sheet's updated
so the
enough.
four the 4.3 liter V6 offshore F350 is 630 pounds.
Yeah.
Um,
The F300 with built-in, so comparable model and a F300, 611 pounds. So you're talking about 20 pounds difference between the 300 and the 350.
right, but I'm even thinking about the old 350, the V8 350
Yeah, no,
versus the VX 350 is
I do not have that spec.
I'm looking it up
I know
because I
that
think
it's a
it's
lot because
considerable.
those
Yeah.
guys, yeah, those guys were heavy for the
Yeah, they're
power.
763 pounds
There you
each.
go. So
So
that's
that
that's what
is
130 pounds difference
mhm,
per motor.
134 pounds per motor to be exact, which would be 268 pounds total, which is like having the difference of having one more, big dude standing in the back of your boat or not when you're trying to get up
S-
on plane or whatever.
Same
So,
thing. You got a lot of people doing, twin 200s to single 450 swaps,
mm,
to save on weight and fuel efficiency and stuff like that. I mean, there's something to be said for having two motors, but there's a lot of recreational guys that are running around and they want just punchy power and good fuel efficiency, and they're like, heck yeah, give me that single motor, which all fine and dandy. I understand both sides of that argument.
yeah, absolutely. Well, if folks are listening and maybe this has piqued their interest or they're planning and budgeting or whatever the case, um, you know, I think the right recommendation is for them to just go ahead and give you a call or stop by the shop and look at some of these things in person and start planning it out. Talk us through the best way to get in touch with you guys over there at Troy Marine, and also maybe just a glimpse of like some of the lead time that we might be expecting, depending on when we're trying to do our project and which motors we're trying to get.
I've always said that winter is the best time to do a repower. You don't have a ton of stuff going on. I don't have a million service jobs lined up right this second to where
Hmm.
I'm, 12 weeks out on getting you in here for a repower.
Got
We
it.
can get you in here on a repower and get it going. We are, like I said, a Yamaha key dealer. So that's all we deal with is Yamahas all day in and out. Um, so while we do, of course, still have a ton of service stuff going on, it's a whole lot easier to get in for a repower. Um, Easiest couple ways to get a hold of us, of course, come down 15727 Carrollton Boulevard in Carrollton, a couple miles south of the JRB. Um, Give us a call, 757-238-8746. Option 3, you can speak straight to me. Let's get this project rolling, see what you're wanting, what you want to do. That, or you can always shoot me an email as well, service@troymarine.com. Any of those ways you can get a hold of me, see what we can do for you. Um, I love working on these projects. I think it's always great trying to put new life into something.
Oh yeah.
Um, Especially 10 years from now, and even the boats like when I first started rigging boats, seeing those boats out on the water, seeing them at the gas station,
Yep.
seeing them at stuff like that, and the guy's like, oh yeah, you put this motor on. Yeah, it's a sense of pride in what we do.
For sure.
And we really really enjoy doing it. The other thing is we're the only Helm Master EX certified dealer in Tidewater that I know of.
Okay.
I don't think anybody else is yet, but we know this system inside and out. We have done a ton of them. Um, and if you're looking for somebody that knows their stuff about this system, wants to help you and wants to make sure that everything's done right the first time, please, please, please give us a call. We're happy to walk you through this entire process, whatever you may be wanting.
Yeah, I think you've got me convinced now that I'm gonna ride these motors out, probably another 1,000 or so hours, and then probably just upgrade to some 150 DESs with the Helm Master EX system because I really don't want to fuss with drilling more holes and putting a trolling motor. Then I'm like, where am I going to put all these batteries? So this would definitely solve that problem. Plus, just the fun of being able to pull in and out of docks easily and all that sort of thing. So, you've got me sold. You've answered all of my concerns, and I'm sure, like anything, with new technology, we'll see it improve, probably get smaller, get faster. Um, and
Yeah,
it'll
how
be
thin?
neat.
How thin is the new iPhone?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Before we know it, the remote joystick will just be an app on your iPhone. But yeah, man, I'm
Never know
excited.
what the future holds.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you coming on here and just spending some time letting us dig into these topics of the Helm Master and really understand how it works, kind of answer some of the heartburn questions about reliability, lower units, warranty, price, all that stuff.
Yeah,
But it definitely sounds like the way of the future.
all we really did is graze the surface, man. There is so much more to this system. We're just hitting the quick key points so that way people know what it is.
Hmm.
But yeah, if you want to learn more about it, give me a shout.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for hopping on the show and giving us a deep dive. It was really, really educational.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Guys, that was Andrew Kaiser with Troy Marine out in Carrollton, your full service Yamaha certified dealer here in Tidewater for everything from repowers, service, new boats, and of course the new Helmmaster EX system. If you want to get a look at it firsthand, go ahead and get a trip booked for post March 2026 on Play and Hooky Charters. You'll get to see it in action for yourself. Guys, that's going to wrap up a really cool episode this week. I hope you guys learned a lot. We look forward to talking to you next week. Pray for some more good weather to come so we can get out there and get tied on some fish. Talk to y'all soon. Have a good week. Serious shallow water anglers count on Stay Put Anchor to do exactly what the name says: keep smaller boats locked in place. fast, quiet, and without dropping a heavy, noisy hook. Built in the USA and designed for boats under 24 feet, Stay Put's solid fiberglass pole spikes pair with marine-grade bow, stern, or drill-free motor mounts for quick installation. So more time spent fishing and less rigging. Choose from 6-foot to 12-foot pole options and the versatile super handle to stake out on flats, sandbars, or in the pads. Affordable, dependable, and proven by anglers nationwide. Learn more or build a custom kit at stayputanchor.com. All right, y'all, that's going to wrap it up this week. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember, to get your free AFCO Camo Sunglasses Cleaner Cloth, text the acronym LCBFR to 779-345-2918 to get your promo code and be added to our email list so we can send you the new show each week. You guys keep on whacking them and be safe out there.